Welcome to today's deep dive. I am your host, and sitting across from me is our lead analyst. And today we are looking at a really wild paradox in the college football world.
Yeah, thanks for having me. And you are totally right. It is a paradox. I mean, we were talking about the 2026 Texas Longhorns.
Right, the undisputed preseason #1 team in the country. If you listen to the hype, they are basically unstoppable.
Exactly. But if you actually look at the mathematical models and the sheer logistics of their upcoming season, they're basically driving straight into the most brutal, unforgiving schedule the sport has ever seen.
It's crazy. It is a complete paradox. You have this ultimate collection of talent colliding with just an absolute merciless environment.
Right. And it creates one of the most fascinating case studies we have ever seen in the modern era of the sport. Because, the expectation for a preseason #1 is usually total domination.
Oh, for sure. You expect a victory lap.
Exactly. You expect them to just steamroll people.
Right.
But when you actually look at the slate of opponents standing in front of them, survival is honestly a much more realistic goal than, undefeated domination.
And that is exactly the tension we are exploring today. Because if you are a fan of the sport, you have probably felt that hype radiating out of Austin. So we have gone through a huge mountain of analysis to figure out if that hype is actually justified.
Yeah, we pulled from a lot of great sources for this one.
We did. We've got insights from 24/7 Sports, Dave Campbell's Texas Football, plus some really deep tactical breakdowns from CBS Sports and Josh Pate's College Football Show.
It is a lot of data, but it paints a really clear picture.
Right. And our mission today is to decode that talent, map out this absolute nightmare of a schedule, and uncover the specific tactical flaws that will basically determine whether this team lifts a trophy or just completely collapses.
Well, to understand the stakes, we really have to look at the roster construction first. I mean, the expectations aren't just based on the logo on the helmet, right?
Right, it's not just the Texas brand.
No, not at all. The university has essentially pushed all of its chips to the center of the table for this specific season. This is the final year of eligibility for a foundational generation of players for them.
So it is a roster that is explicitly engineered for a 2026 title run.
Exactly. They are all in.
And the centerpiece of that, obviously, is Arch Manning. I mean, this is his second full year as the starting quarterback, and he comes into the season as the clear betting favorite for the Heisman Trophy.
Yeah, and the consensus projections have him going #1 overall in the 2027 NFL Draft.
Which is huge, but what makes this offense so terrifying isn't just Arch. It is the geometry of the field when you surround a guy like that with, just elite weapons.
That is the compounding factor right there. Because an elite quarterback is dangerous, obviously.
Yeah.
But an elite quarterback throwing to a receiver who completely breaks the defense's coverage rules, that is lethal.
Yeah, and they went out and got that exact kind of guy. They went into the transfer portal and grabbed Cam Coleman from Auburn.
Which is just unfair. The draft analysts are currently projecting Coleman as the potential #2 overall pick in the same draft.
Which is wild. So you have the potential #1 and #2 picks on the same offense, and the CBS Sports breakdown used a really great word to describe Coleman. They just called him a vacuum.
A vacuum. Yeah, that is perfectly accurate.
Right. Because if you watch his tape, it makes perfect sense. It literally does not matter if the defensive back has perfect position.
Right. Or if the throw is a foot behind him or 2 feet over his head.
Exactly. He just swallows up the football. And then you pair him with Ryan Wingo, who is their top returning receiver, and suddenly opposing defenses are just completely out of answers.
And the crazy thing is that dominance extends to the other side of the ball, too. Their defense is anchored by Colin Simmons, who, you can easily argue he is the most disruptive returning defensive player in the country.
Oh, absolutely. Just to give you listening a quick refresher, Simmons logged 2.5 sacks in the 2025 Red River rivalry against Oklahoma alone, just in that one game.
He completely took over the game. And to maximize that kind of disruption, they went out and brought in former Georgia defensive analyst Will Muschamp to take over as defensive coordinator.
So if we look at the raw materials here, this team is basically a custom-built $1 million hypercar. It has a twin-turbo engine, cutting-edge aerodynamics, just the absolute best of everything.
Right, but here's the problem with hypercars. They are built for pristine, perfectly paved racetracks.
Right.
If you take that Ferrari and force it to race on a dirt road covered in craters and boulders, the engineering doesn't even matter anymore. The suspension is going to break.
And when we look at the schedule Texas has to play this year, They are essentially being asked to run a demolition derby in that Ferrari.
Yeah, the sheer mathematical cruelty of this 2026 slate is just stunning. When you look at the strength of schedule rankings from both 24/7 Sports and Dave Campbell's, they have Texas ranked at the absolute top.
It's the toughest schedule in the state and potentially the hardest in the entire country, right?
Without a doubt.
To put some hard numbers on that for you, Texas plays 4 different teams that made the college football playoff in 2025.
Let that sink in. 4 teams.
Right, that means a full third of their schedule is against legitimate championship contenders.
And it is not just who they are playing, it is where they are playing them. The locations of these games amplify the difficulty so much.
Yeah, because they only play 4 true road games this year, which on paper, that sounds like an advantage.
It sounds great until you see where those road games are.
Right. Those 4 trips are to Tennessee, Missouri, LSU, and Texas A&M.
Yeah. Neyland Stadium, Foru Field, Tiger Stadium, and Kyle Field.
I mean, those are 4 of the most hostile, deafening environments in North American sport.
Oh, totally. Which brings up a massive debate going on in the college football world right now. CBS Sports ran their predictive models, and they came out with an 11-1 record for Texas.
Okay, but Dave Campbell's offered a totally different perspective, didn't they?
Yeah, they pointed out that the schedule is so insanely difficult, Texas could realistically become the first 9-3 team to ever make the expanded college football playoff.
Wow, 9-3 making the playoff. That really highlights a flaw in how we evaluate teams, I think. Because the models at CBS Sports, they just look at the talent differential and assume Texas wins because they have the better players.
Right, they just run the math. But humans aren't algorithms.
Exactly. I have to push back hard on those 11-1 computer models. Football is not played in some aggregate vacuum. It's played by 20-year-old kids who are dealing with exhaustion, pressure, and the compounding physical toll of a brutal season.
Oh, absolutely.
If they stumble in September and lose their confidence, the wheels could just completely fall off long before they even reach November. You can't just simulate 12 games. You really have to look at the psychological momentum.
That is a really crucial distinction. The trajectory of a season is rarely just a steady upward line. It is dictated by specific high-leverage inflection points.
Right, and Sports Illustrated actually mapped this out, right?
Yeah, they identified 3 specific games on the Texas schedule that are going to act as these massive momentum swingers. These are the weeks where the season either crystallizes into a championship run or it just spirals completely out of control.
And the first one arrives almost immediately. Week 2, September 12th, Ohio State comes to Darrell K. Royal Stadium. This is the ultimate early litmus test.
Yeah, and Ohio State is bringing Julian Sayin, who is the #1 ranked opposing quarterback on the entire Texas schedule.
He is a precision pocket passer.
Exactly, and he's the only returning Heisman finalist in the entire country.
So the stakes for that Week 2 game are just entirely narrative and psychological, because if Texas wins, they validate all the offseason hype.
Right, but if they lose at home after an entire offseason of being told they are invincible, the pressure just becomes suffocating. Every tiny mistake in Week 3 and Week 4 will be magnified tenfold.
But, okay, let's assume they navigate that first hurdle. The next massive one is Week 6, October 10th. The Red River rivalry against Oklahoma.
Always a brutal game.
Always. And Texas is chasing its first 3-game win streak against OU since the late 1990s. But what makes this specific matchup so dangerous this year is a really unique scheduling quirk. Both teams are coming off a bye week.
And that bye week fundamentally changes the nature of the game. It turns it into the ultimate tactical chess match.
How so?
Well, you have Steve Sarkisian, who is one of the best offensive play callers in the sport, and he has 2 full weeks to script new passing concepts and tendencies. But on the other side, you have Brent Venables.
Right, who is a defensive mastermind.
Exactly, one of the premier defensive architects of this generation. And he has 2 full weeks to install complex blitz packages specifically designed to just confuse Arch Manning.
And Oklahoma has a weapon that completely alters the math for a defense, too. Their quarterback is John Mateer. He is not a precision pocket passer like Julian Sayin. Mateer is a chaotic, physical runner.
Yeah, he is a nightmare to tackle.
Just to illustrate how difficult he is to bring down for you listening, he forced 53 missed tackles in 2024. 53.
I mean, a quarterback who can force 53 missed tackles stresses the discipline of your front 7 in a way that traditional passing attacks just don't. Your defensive ends can't just pin their ears back and rush the passer.
Right, because if they do, what happens?
They lose containment, They have to maintain their rushing lanes, or Mateer will just break, contain, and run for 40 yards.
Which is just exhausting for a defense to deal with all game. But even if Texas survives that chess match in Dallas, they eventually have to face the game that Sports Illustrated ranks as the single hardest on the schedule.
Week 11, November 14th.
Yep. The Longhorns have to travel to Death Valley to play LSU, and they haven't played in Baton Rouge since 1953.
And they are catching LSU at the worst possible time.
Yeah.
Lane Kiffin is their new head coach, and he aggressively leveraged the transfer portal to build an immediate contender.
Yeah, he brought in quarterback Sam Leavitt, who fits his high-tempo system perfectly, and he paired him with an elite edge rusher in Prince-Will Umanmielen.
So you were talking about a night game in Death Valley in mid-November when the physical attrition of the season is at its absolute peak. It's a brutal spot.
It really is. And, if you look closely at those three swing games, a really fascinating pattern emerges. You have Julian Sayin, the pro-ready precision passer. You have John Mateer, the physical tackle-breaking runner. And you have Sam Leavitt, a true dual-threat orchestrating Lane Kiffin's tempo offense.
Yeah, they're completely different styles.
Exactly. Texas is being forced to defend incredibly diverse styles of elite quarterback play week after week.
And that diversity is the true test of a championship defense. Because when you face that many different offensive philosophies, you can't just rely on one base coverage. Every single vulnerability in your defensive structure is going to be rigorously stress tested.
Which means we need to look under the hood at the actual defensive metrics for Texas, because it is definitely not all sunshine and sacks for that unit.
No, it is not.
They face a gauntlet of unique signal callers, even beyond those three we just mentioned. They play Ole Miss, who returns quarterback Trinidad Chambliss. And Chambliss actually turned down the NFL draft to come back for one more year via a preliminary injunction.
Right, which was a huge deal.
Yeah, and for those who don't follow the legal side of sports, that was a court ruling that essentially paused the NCAA's eligibility clocks and allowed several pro-ready veterans to return to school.
And they also have to play Mississippi State's Camario Taylor. If you look at his analytics, he is incredibly dangerous on the ground. He posted a 90.3 PFF rushing grade last season.
And just to clarify for you listening, PFF is Pro Football Focus. They evaluate and grade every single player on every single snap of the season.
Right, it is very comprehensive.
So a 90.3 grade doesn't just mean he had a few lucky breakaway runs. It means he is fundamentally dominant and efficient on a play-by-play basis.
Exactly. He is exactly the kind of player who exposes structural flaws. And the Josh Pate breakdown we looked at highlighted a very specific, glaring statistical paradox in this Texas defense.
Yeah.
It is a flaw that every single offensive coordinator on their schedule is going to try to exploit.
And this statistic completely blew my mind when I read it. According to Pate, Texas is elite at getting to the quarterback. Thanks to guys like Colin Simmons, they ranked number 3 in the entire country in sack rate.
Number 3, that is elite.
But despite that incredible pass rush, they are highly vulnerable through the air. They rank 107th overall against the pass and 98th in the country at defending explosive pass plays.
It is such a weird disparity.
Right. I mean, how is it physically possible to sack the quarterback that often, but still give up massive chunks of yardage through the air?
Well, it really comes down to the philosophy of their new defensive coordinator, Will Muschamp. He employs a very aggressive press-style defense. His cornerbacks, they don't line up 10 yards away from the receivers.
No, they are right up there.
Exactly. They line up right on the line of scrimmage, right in the receiver's face, trying to physically jam them and disrupt the timing of the routes. The whole goal is to buy an extra half second for that elite pass rush to get home. So it is the boomer bust profile. You either get the sack or your cornerback gets beaten deep. There's really no middle ground.
Okay, so put yourself in the shoes of an opposing offensive coordinator for a second. You know Texas has this elite sack rate, but you also know they are terrible at defending explosive passes. What is the counter move?
It's tricky.
Do you just call a max protect scheme? Keep your tight ends and running backs in to block Colin Simmons, give your quarterback 5 seconds in the pocket, and just tell your receivers to run deep, hoping those aggressive corners eventually get burned?
See, that is the intuitive thought process, but it actually plays right into Muschamp's hands.
Wait, really? Why?
Because if you keep your tight ends and running backs in to block, you are taking offensive weapons off the field. And that allows the defense to use a tactic called bracketing on your remaining receivers.
In bracketing is basically a double team, right?
Exactly. It's
Got it.
where one defensive back plays underneath the receiver to take away the short throw, and a safety plays over the top to take away the deep ball. If you max protect, you make it incredibly easy for Texas to bracket your best guys.
Oh, wow. So it is a total trap. By trying to protect your quarterback, you're actually suffocating your own passing game.
Yep.
So if max protect isn't the kryptonite for this defense, what is?
The actual kryptonite for an aggressive, high-sack defense is play action.
Okay, let's trace the mechanics of that. Why does a fake handoff neutralize an elite pass rush?
It all comes down to processing conflicting information. When the linebackers and safeties see the offensive line fire off the ball and the quarterback hand it off, their instincts and their aggressive coaching tell them to immediately step up toward the line of scrimmage to fill the running lanes.
Right, they bite on the run.
They do. And that hesitation, even if it only lasts for half a second, it vacates the space behind them. It neutralizes the pass rush because the defensive ends have to honor the run first, slowing their path to the quarterback.
Oh, I see.
But most importantly, it isolates those aggressive press cornerbacks on an island without any safety help over the top.
So it's basically a psychological weapon. You are literally using the defense's own aggressive instincts against them. They are so desperate to stop the run and get into the backfield that they completely abandon the airspace behind them.
Precisely, leaving their cornerbacks incredibly vulnerable. And to illustrate exactly how devastating this vulnerability can be, we can zoom in on the final game of the regular season,
Okay, yeah.
because it serves as the perfect tactical case study for everything we've analyzed today.
You're talking about the Friday night finale on Black Friday against Texas A&M. Let's look at the tactical breakdown here because it really feels like the entire season could hinge on the mechanics of this specific game. A&M is quarterbacked by Marcel Reed. He is a true dual-threat player who actually ran for 71 yards against Texas last year.
He is the exact archetype of a quarterback that gives Muschamp's defensive structure absolute nightmares. And Josh Pate pulled a vital statistical split for Marcel Reed that just illuminates this play-action dynamic perfectly.
What were the numbers?
When Marcel Reed uses play-action, he completes 73.8% of his passes, with 16 touchdowns and only 1 interception.
I mean, that is almost flawless efficiency.
It is. But look what happens when you force him to drop back without using play-action. His completion rate plummets to 55.4%, his touchdowns drop to 9, and his interceptions spike to 7.
Wow. So he goes from being a borderline Heisman-level performer to a highly turnover-prone liability entirely based on whether the offense utilizes a play-action fake.
Exactly. But here is the critical catch. Play-action does not work in a vacuum. It requires a successful, credible running game.
Right. If you can't run, the fake means nothing.
Exactly. If the defense doesn't respect your ability to run the football, they won't bite on the fake. The linebackers won't step up. But if A&M can establish the run, like they did earlier in the year against Auburn when they pounded the rock for 47 carries, they unlock that devastating play-action passing attack.
It is a massive tactical domino effect. Like, imagine you're standing on the field. If the Texas defensive line gets pushed back and gives up a big run on first down, it knocks over the play-action domino.
Because now the linebackers have to cheat up.
Right, which knocks over the pass protection domino because the defensive ends have to hesitate. And suddenly, those aggressive cornerbacks are left out to dry, and Arch Manning is sitting on the sideline watching his defense give up a 50-yard touchdown.
It's a chain reaction.
The entire defensive game plan hinges on one objective: stopping the run on early downs.
You stop the run, you dictate the terms of engagement, you force Marcel Reed into straight dropbacks on 3rd and long without the benefit of play action. And as the stats show, that is exactly when he throws interceptions.
Which is vital because Texas ranks 10th in the country in turnover margin, while Texas A&M ranks a dismal 109th.
The math is pretty clear there.
Yeah. If Texas forces 3rd and long, they generate turnovers. If A&M establishes the run, they generate explosive passing plays. The margin for error is just razor thin.
It is. So as you watch this upcoming season unfold, keep this entire journey in mind. Texas is undoubtedly armed with generational talent.
Oh, completely. Between Arch Manning, Cam Coleman, and Colin Simmons, they absolutely have that million-dollar hypercar.
They do.
Yeah.
But they are navigating a historically cruel dirt road of a schedule. They have to survive a gauntlet of elite, diverse quarterbacks who are uniquely equipped to exploit their specific vulnerability to the play-action pass.
It is going to be a grueling test of physical endurance and